Are you an entrepreneur looking to take your business to the next level? Then you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Global Entrepreneurs Podcast, where we bring you insights and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs and industry experts. Join us as we dive deep into the strategies, tactics, and mindset you need to build a thriving business in today's competitive landscape. From startup founders to seasoned business leaders, our guests share their stories and insights to help you overcome challenges, seize opportunities, and achieve your goals. So if you're ready to learn, grow, and succeed as an entrepreneur, hit that subscribe button and tune into the Global Entrepreneurs Podcast today.
In 3, 2, 1. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hey guys, what's up, Ketchup?
Hey, good morning guys.
Pagod ka, kala ko wala ka dyan eh.
Alam mo naman, out of state tayo ngayon. Multitask.
Nasaan ka na naman ba?
Currently, Erwin, nandito ako sa Kansas State, Wichita City. I'm on franchise training right now. Nagtatrabaho.
Oh, grabe sipag oh, Sunday oh. Oy, isa, yung taga ano dyan? Taga, bumati ka naman.
Calgary.
Asa ka na?
Babiyahe.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Sir Neil, magandang araw sa inyo.
Ayun.
Yeah, good morning and good afternoon.
Tinawag mo na agad yung guest natin, isusurprise nga natin yan eh. Tala nga. Ano natin.
Good Grace, nagbiyahe si Alan.
Yeah. So, meron tayong guest, syempre, lagi, di ba? Itong podcast natin, lagi tayong may guest tayo today. Saan ba ang guest natin? Balik tayo sa Pinas.
Last time, saan ba tayo? Anong bansa ba tayo last time?
Last time, taga Halifax, Canada. Si Joshua.
Oh yeah, Sydney, right? Yung may-ari ng Pumas Kitchen and, you know, and then a real estate guy, right? Nakikinig ka, Joshua, thank you so much for that time na ibinigay mo sa amin last time.
Galing. Thanks, Josh. Hopefully, mabisita ka namin dyan sa Sydney, Canada. We were there last year sa Halifax. Hindi ko maalam. Hindi ko pa siya kilala kasi kaya hindi ko nabisita yung restaurant dyan.
Now you have. Ngayon may kilala ka na. May network ka na.
Pwede na ako pumunta. Ayos. So we have a guest today. Exciting to. Balik tayo sa Pinas.
Yes. Wow, I love it. Kasi hindi natin kailangan mag-English. Tagalog, diretso na.
Oh, hindi dudugo yung ngala-ngala natin dito.
Yung ilong ko, dugu-duguan na ako dito sa Kansas. Puro puti, nakatira dito.
Malamang. Bawal mag-Tagalog dyan.
I know. May bayad piso bawat Tagalog.
Ayos. So, our guest for today, he's the chairman of CIIT College of Arts and Technology.
Wow.
And he's also, lupit no, chairman, grabe. Hindi basta-basta. And he's also the co-founder of EduSuite, right? Malupit. Siguro siya na lang mag-i-explain kung ano. Pero basically, I think it's a school for technopreneurship, digital arts, web design, programming, and game development yung school niya.
Wow. Well, I have a lot of respect for people that in the academy. I mean, I think this is going to be so exciting. Yeah, I can't wait to start.
Ma-overtime na naman tayo dito.
I hope not, you know. But, you know, sometimes
Tawagin na natin guest natin for today. Ang guest natin is no other than Mr. Neil Dagundon.
Wow.
Tama ba yun?
Yes. Actually, it's actually Niel. So, parang you pronounce it like Daniel. Yeah.
Niel.
So, hi Erwin, hi Elmer, and hi Alan. Thank you for inviting me sa podcast niya.
Ayos, welcome
That's our
to
pleasure.
Gen Podcast. Niel ba? Tama ba?
Yes,
Niel?
yeah. Niel.
Okay,
Yeah.
Daniel. Okay, Niel. Perfect. So, welcome to Gen Podcast. I know we have a different time zone. Might be morning sana and evening sa'yo. But thank you for coming and joining us in this podcast, Neil. Bumati ka muna sa mga libo-libo o milyon-milyon namin tagapakinig all over the globe.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening kung saan man kayo nakikinig. So, I'm surprised na lahat pala kayo are in different locations dito sa sa podcast niyo. So, it's my first time to be here also. So, yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, kaya I'm so sorry, Sir Niel, kasi ang hirap i-schedule ng time zones. We gotta really make it work for all of us. But I'm so glad that you give us your time today, and I'm so excited to learn more about your story. Sabi natin magtatagalog tayo, di ba?
Oo nga,
sorry. Gusto namin matutunan at matutunan yung iyong story, and I can't wait. Yeah.
Ayos, galing.
Sige.
Sir, before we proceed, basically we want to know, like we mentioned that you're the chairman of CIIT College of Arts and Technology and also the co-founder of EduSuite. Can you tell us a little bit about your personal background? How did you started? Para mas makilala ka pa.
Binata, may asawa, Loki.
So I'm actually married with kids.
Okay.
Well, 4 kids ngayon. Yeah. Pero malalaki na yung kids ko. Like
sorry,
like,
mga single ladies. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, one is one just graduated nung December of last year. So yeah, adult na. Adult na yun.
Yes,
he looks so young, no?
Thank you. I'm also vegetarian, so siguro nakakatulong yan sa looking young. And trying to be active. So alam mo yan, it's not just di ba, parang businesses that you need to invest in, pati sarili mo. So even bata pa ako, I invested in staying active, trying to be healthy, ganun. Kasi alam ko, even if maghirap ka early on, di ba, nagpe-pay off siya sa dulo.
So tell us about, saan ka lumaki? Anong background?
Yeah, siguro born and raised here. I'm actually from Davao City. Doon ako pinanganak. Pero we moved to Manila when I was grade 1. In terms of background ko, parang I'm a tech person, so I graduated computer science. Pero I think in terms of like yung entrepreneurial journey, yung parents ko, nakita ko yung nila So in terms of inspiration, parang sila yung nakita ko nag-start na mag-business. Parang nakita ko yung first few businesses nila na pumalpak when I was nung bata pa ako. Tapos yung first business nila na naging successful, which I think I was grade 6 or grade 7. Nung nag-umpisa sila ng journey nila, yung how they try to design yung customer experience. Even though it was a simple business, parang nung umpisa kasi gas station yung pinakaunang successful business nila. Medyo simple lang siya, pero trinay nila i-design yung customer experience to be better than the other gas stations na na parang di ba nasa tabi namin, and that's how it started. Parang ang nangyari nun is sumama ako nung parang we had to leave our house, yung house na tinitira namin, and nag-sacrifice sila na nakatira muna kami sa business namin doon sa second floor ng convenience store, yung opisina. So tumira muna kami doon for a while until kasi we needed yung extra income for renting out the house. Until parang medyo nakabawi na ng konti, and we were able to get the house back, and until parang they became more successful and started new businesses na nakatayo sila ng like mga related businesses around it. So yun yung naging inspiration ko why even as a comsci or someone into programming, parang I've always had a knack kasi yun yung naging background ko when I was growing up. Yan.
Oh, I see. So talagang na-expose ka talaga sa entrepreneurship nung ano.
Yeah, in a way, parang tumutulong ako na, 'di ba, parang yung mga convenience store, ano ba yung mga pagkain na hinahanap ng mga driver pag tumitigil sila rito. Ito yung mga tuna sandwich, ganun, benta yan kasi mura lang, tapos ano. So parang medyo na-involve ako doon, and miski na ako tumutulong when I was younger, parang yung syempre yung unang trabaho ko during summers, gas boy, tapos naubos ko rin dun sa ano, sa convenience store namin yung sahod ko. Tapos nagpapalit ng langis, ng mga kotse, mga ganun, or nagwa-wax ng mga kotse, yung mga taga-bilang ng inventory, mga ganun. Yun yung start. Yun yung start when I was younger. So medyo, my exposure really I had my parents to thank for that.
Oh, okay. Boy pa ba yung gas station, if you don't mind asking?
Actually, medyo nag-evolve na siya kasi from gas station, naging trucking, from trucking naging logistics, from logistics naging distribution, from distribution naging cold storage. So parang may line of businesses na parang nag-evolve from that. Pero yung gas station itself, binitawan na namin kasi nung time na yun medyo konti pa lang yung gas stations so marami kang volume, di ba? Tapos kung pumunta ang Pilipinas ngayon, bawat kanto may gas station na. So to earn the same kita, parang kailangan
sa Pilipinas
gas station, di ba? Parang nagpandesal na sila. Di ba yung pandesal na bawat kanto? So what we did actually dun sa gas station is parang binitawan namin siya, pero what was actually mas kumikita or successful sa business is yung nagsa-service ng cars. So yung, di ba, yung nagpapalit ng wheel alignment, yung nag-change oil. So yung part ng business na yon, nirebrand namin into, nirebrand ng family ko into its own its own brand. Tapos yun yung nag-expand. So nag-set up sila ng mga additional branches na service station lang. Tapos yung gas station itself parang binalik na namin sa Shell gas station yun dati. So na siya ngayon, parang kami na lang yung nag-ooperate nung part na medyo mas maganda yung margins for us.
I see. Galing. So basically, like all your life, tumutulong ka talaga sa parents mo, sa family business, right? When did you start doing your own business? Like, is it after you graduated? Because you mentioned you're a computer science graduate, right? You took computer science. Bakit nga pala computer science? Are you excited about technology? Are you in innovation?
Siguro, I had a knack for computers kasi like nung bata ako, parang I was fiddling around with games. So I like games. Tapos I tried to figure out how it works, no? So hinahack-hack ko siya, ganun. Parang ino-open ko yung mga source files niya, trying to find out paano ba gumagana tong mga na to? Paano ba gumagana tong mga games na to? So I like that. So even when I was, I guess, nasa high school ako, grade school ako, nagtatry na ako ng mga programming languages and seeing how it worked. Tapos, nung pumasok akong college, parang I decided I wanted to go there. And even nung high school ako, I think, one of my first businesses kasi is in game development. So, even nung high school ako, when people ask me, parang ano ba yung like hilig mo, parang sabi ko, games, I want to get into game development. That's why naging computer science yung tinake up ko na course.
Meron pa, Geek Wizard pala si Neo.
Galing,
yeah.
That's why I'm telling my daughter, I'm telling my daughter, she's 17 right now, be nice to the Geek Wizards because there might be your boss in the future.
Parang yung sinasabi nga nila yung, diba, the geeks or the nerds will inherit the earth. So
ulit nga. Sorry, Neil. The geek,
parang the geeks will inherit the earth. I heard that somewhere.
Okay.
Or the nerds ba yun or something. Yeah.
Well, totoo yun. I mean, look at Meta, right?
Yeah. So in terms of yung how I started yung sa sarili ko, I think it was around mga third year college when I started trying out my own business kasi nung first year ako, I had a lot of time kasi parang the way they structure yung college ko, marami kang oras eh. So, like, nung first year ako, I tried working part-time. Nag-math teacher ako where I used to study sa high school. Tapos, remedial. Tapos, nung second year naman ako, I tried student council. Eventually, na-bore ako eh, na parang, student council, gagawa ka ng projects, kikita yung project. Pero, yung kita nun, ibabalik mo lang yung mapupunta lang sa ibang tao or mapupunta dun sa next lineup of officers, di ba? So, parang sayang naman yung pinagtrabahuan mo kung palpak yung mga pumalit sa'yo. Para nasayang lang yun, di ba? So, nung yung third year ako, parang I had this parang opportunity na nakita ko. That was way back, mga late 90s, mga 1999, siguro mga around that time. I was living in a apartment or dorm. Hindi siya dorm, parang condo siya in front of my school sa De La Salle University.
Grabe. Kasal pala to.
Tapos parang yung computer science yung building namin, which is nasa pinakadulo, yung katabi ng building.
Yayamanin.
Actually, ano ba yung katabing building? It's liberal arts ata eh, parang College of Arts. So yung mga nandun, yung mga com arts, mga kumbaga yung pag gumagawa sila ng thesis, gumagawa sila ng videos. So nung time na yon, if you were parang mag-video edit, ngayon ang dali na lang mag-video editing, di ba? May cellphone ka, mag-click-click ka dito, parang nakaka-edit ka na ng videos and may AI pa nga para tumulong sa'yo, di ba? So nung time na yon, pag nag-edit ka ng videos, parang ang choices mo is either like manual, as in pag sinabing cut to cut, kukupitin mo talaga, titape mo together. Or nung panahon ng ng Betamax at VHS, ewan ko, well, parehong age natin, abutin.
Yeah.
Di ba? Parang you have multiple VCRs, tapos kung gusto mo mag-cut to cut editing, ipi-play mo yung isa, press mo record dun sa kabila, di ba? Tapos ganun ka gumagawa ng scene. So medyo medyo Jurassic yung the way na nag-edit ng videos. Nung late 90s. Pero nung time na yon, there's also a technology na dating only available to mga TV stations na ginawa nilang available to consumers na rin, where they can convert yung mga VHS at saka mga Betamax into yung, kasi ang tawag doon analog, di ba? Iko-convert mo siya into MPEG files, which is digital. Kasi once ginawa mo na siyang digital, pwede mong gamitin yung mga like earlier versions of Adobe Premiere para i-edit yung videos. So what you just need to do is bumili ka ng mga converters na yon, which would at that time cost mga 50,000 pesos. Or mga ganon, 50,000 to convert one. So medyo malaking pera siya nung panahon na yun, di ba? Tapos bibili ka maraming hard disk para i-store yung mga MPEG files. Yun yung first business. Na-identify ko yun kasi yung girlfriend ko, now my wife, at that time was, nagpapa-edit siya ng video. Pupunta pa siyang Makati kasi if gamitin niya nga yung school facilities, sobrang luma ng facilities nila. So, pupunta pa siyang Makati para magpa-edit sa mga studios doon. Tapos sabi ko, bakit walang mga gumagawa nun dito sa Manila area where LaSalle was? Yung Manila area, nandun yung mga eskwelahan, di ba? Parang katabi namin, binild, nasa likod namin, Saint Scholastica, ganon. So, ang daming ang daming parang opportunity. So, yun yung parang may na-identify ang opportunity. Bakit hindi natin i-try to pag kakitain? Especially pag ikaw yung nauna doon, di ba? Ikaw yung first in the area. Parang practically na monopolize mo yung area. Pwede mong i-dictate yung price na gusto mo. So, nung nakita ko na compute ako, parang, para makabili ng first equipment ko, parang I would need 120,000 pesos para bilhin to. So, pumunta ako 120,000 from my parents. Bumili ako ng first studio. So, after ko siya mabayaran, kasi parang ang charge namin nun per oras eh. After namin siya mabayaran, yung 120,000, bayad na. Pautang naman ako 250,000 na. So, bumili ako 2 pang equipment. Tapos after ko mabayaran yung 250,000, pautang ako 500,000, magtatayo na kami ng totoong shop. Ganun. Tapos magdadagdag na. So yung apartment namin, yung dorm namin kung saan ako nakatira, dati isang kanto lang yung yung editing bay na kung tawagan. Tapos after a while, after mga 1-2 years, parang yung buong studio namin kung saan kami natutulog, parang puro equipment na. Kasi dati na isang kanto lang, natutulog kami doon. May divider lang. Kasi studio, studio style siya eh. Tapos naging editing studio na talaga. Kami na yung parang na-kick out. We had to move sa ibang kwarto para kasi na siya, naging full-blown studio until nagtayo kami sa mall. So that's my first business. Syempre informal pa 'yon, 'di ba?
Yes.
Nung start parang ako lang at roommate ko yung nag-edit ng videos. So that means na pag tuloy-tuloy yung kliyente, minsan 3 araw wala akong tulog, papasok ako sa school.
Oh, wow.
So wala kang tulog ng 3 araw kasi every night ikaw yung nag-edit ng videos for your clients eh. Until eventually naka-hire kami ng mga tao na na nag-edit na rin na mas magaling pa sa amin. So yun yung story ng actually very first business that I went into.
So third year ka nun. Wow.
Third year college. Yeah. So I was running it until graduate ako.
Wow.
Medyo na-delay ng konti kasi syempre busy with business, ganun. So, I was running it for more than 2 years, 5th year college. Tapos nung aalis na ako kasi syempre, parang gi-give up ko na tong apartment. Parang eventually the business had to close kasi I wanted to start another business na mas in line talaga sa interest ko at bakit ako pumasok sa college.
Yeah. Nakamute ka,
Sorry guys, sabi ko ang ganda ng story niya, no? Di ba? From, di ba, yung nung start siya na exposure sa entrepreneurship kasi, I mean, medyo middle class kasi yung nag-start ako, na-expose ako sa entrepreneurship, sa palengke ako nag-event. Pumuhumahango kami ng gulay sa Divisoria, dadali namin sa Guadalupe. Pasakay kami ng jeep, bitbit namin yung bag. I just like, how I wish ganun yung experience ko.
Iba yung experience. And I think mas challenge nga yung conditions and di ba to be successful there parang mas okay pa yon. Ako medyo naswerte lang ako na may napag-utangan ako na pang-capital, di ba? So I guess yun yung advantage na yung parents ko were in business as well. Parang,
that's true. Kasi kami, my parents meron nagre-repack sila ng money noon, dinadala sa mga school. But that's but I think what's common is, especially we got kids, right? Na as early as we can expose them.
Yeah,
expose them as much as possible because you'll never know. Maybe later, ngayon, yung daughter ko, I have a 17-year-old daughter, she has no interest in entrepreneurship. She doesn't like to do business. She wants to pursue a psychology career. I go, okay, that's fine. But sometimes we have to be intentional to expose them. And later on might be like us na they found themselves, I really like it and my parents did it before, so I like it.
Actually yung second daughter ko rin psychology yung tinitake up niya. She's second year college ngayon yung second ko, pero medyo masipag-sipag yun kasi may 4 na part-time na trabaho siya ngayon eh. So,
galing.
So parang ano kung tumatry kumita even if nasa college siya. Pero I guess yung story mo na, di ba, yung really started from nothing, yun yung medyo na-witness ko sa parents ko rin kasi like yung dad ko, anak siya ng like public school teachers and principals from Mandog, which is parang province sa Davao, di ba? So, nag-start lang siya with Shell, tapos nag-work siya sa Shell, na swinerte siya, nakakuha siya ng work doon, tapos eventually, that's why yung unang gas station namin from Shell din, tapos inutang niya lang din yung capital para doon. So, yun yung na-witness ko sa parents ko. Tapos ako naman, second generation entrepreneur ako, at least may napag-utangan na.
I like to hear those stories. Kaya nakakatuwa marinig yung mga ganyang stories, lalo na sa mga taong nakikinig ng podcast, because sometimes these little things had a tremendous effect in the future, not only for ourselves, but even for our kids. I mean, kasi ikaw, katulad ka na, second generation ka na, your parents started to till the ground first, and then you just reap the harvest of, partly, they started first, and ikaw yung nakasama dun sa domino effect. And I think in the situations also sa Pilipinas, because I can relate, my mom is a public teacher. We don't have any idea about entrepreneurship. But when I found it, I find it the hard way. I just realized isa yung sagot sa kahirapan eh. I mean, to change the mindset of the young kids, right? Especially for budding entrepreneurs who has always have the fear na, oh, business ka, nakakatakot. But actually, it's more on the hard work side, di ba? You know, hard work. Yeah. And sa mga nakikinig naming mga listeners around the world, you know, if you want, I think it's safe to say, I don't know if we both agree, na the key to escape like poverty and hardship in life or in the future is, you know, one way is to get serious about entrepreneurship. If you have parents na nagbi-business, kahit sa batang isip mo pa lang, you know, try to expose yourself, or kung may kaibigan kayo, anak ng businessman, you know, you know, kaibigan nyo sila to learn something new, you know. Sometimes it's just the mindset that really, you know, break the curse or, you know, give us breakthrough, di ba?
At saka, never too late to start eh. Kasi I think parang problema din if you start too young sa business na lahat ng mga mali, ikaw yung gumagawa. As opposed to, di ba, parang nag-work ka muna, na tututunan mo yung mga mali from other, from other businesses, di ba, na parang you start later. So actually, may studies na people who started in their 40s, medyo mas successful yung mga business nila rather than ako na nag-umpisa ako very young. Dahil walang choice and sinerte lang din.
Yung founder ng KFC, di ba? He started to sell his chicken when he was around 57 or 60. I'm not sure the exact.
60 years old, I think. 60 plus, yeah.
Yeah, 60 plus, right? So yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Kasi we often parang see yung mga examples na, sa Silicon Valley, mga college dropout, nag-business kagad, mga Dells and mga Bill Gates and mga ganun. Pero that's more the exception, di ba? Parang, for most people, it's really good na may experience ka rin. Kasi ang hirap sa business, pag nagkamali ka, parang nagtatapon ka ng pera. Ganun yung nangyayari, di ba? Tatapon mo muna yung pera na iba para habang nag-work ka for other companies.
Kaya nga, Neil, dito sa, I think from previous podcast sessions natin, we always say na it's if you want to dive into entrepreneurship, find a mentor. I mean, that you can rely to, that is a real person, real experience, same in the industry. We recommend that instead of you like doing the T&E, the trial and error method, because, you know, especially for people that just starting and they have limited capital, or there's no bank that back them up, or yung as in nag-start ka pa lang, mas maganda meron kang mentor so you can avoid those loopholes at saka yung mga mistakes na nagawa na nila. So sa mga listeners na mga bago, you know, or kahit kahit medyo may edad na gusto pong mag-move sa business, I think it's a wise decision to find somebody that, you know, can guide you through. Ako, nung nag-start ako, I find a person that guide me. I pay his meal. I ask him if I can meet once a month, you know, to pick up his brain. Up to now, right now, nagtatayo ako ng, may kinuha akong franchise. I'm starting it in California because they don't have a brand here. California. Kaya ako nandito sa Kansas. But it's a food industry, you know. I haven't been in the franchise so long, but I have a friend who's in the franchise with Lumberjack. So I called him, I talked to him, hey, you're gonna be my first guy if I need help. I need you know. So which nakakatulong eh. Kasi he provided me the list of his suppliers, yung kanilang mga service providers. I don't have to look for them. Then if I have some hiccups, I can, you know, inquire and ask. Dumadali yung transition. So pagdating sa mga bata pa lang na mga entrepreneur, ganun I think is one of the parang strategy. Yung pagkakamali ang mahirap eh. Pag natalo ka ng isa, masakit, di ba?
Yeah, that's true. Pero challenging yung linya mo sa FNB.
Saan?
Sa FNB, food and sa food business,
Yeah.
Medyo challenging yan.
Medyo challenging nga. Ngayon nga na-challenge ako, 8 days training. You know? But the good thing is, you know, I like learning something new. Yun nga yung pag na-trickle yung brain nating mga parang fuel ba? Parang mas pag the more challenging it, if you will see up para gumawa ulit. Parang mas go back to Sir Neil. Go ahead. Nakakatuwa lang na makita yung ganong sorry to interject kasi nakakatuwang i-highlight yung experience mong yun. Kasi lalo sa mga kabataan na susunod sa atin, you know. Sometimes hindi nila pinapakinggan yung mga magulang nila. Katulad ng 17-year-old ko, sabi ko, why don't you want to take entrepreneurship or business school? Daddy, I don't want to take business school. I don't want. You're always so busy. I was like, okay, wait. Sa isip ko lang. Wait until you grow up and you get 3 or 4 kids and the bills are coming up.
Well, kanya-kanya rin yan. Ako, I'm not forcing my kids na pumunta. Pero tingnan natin.
Hindi, magandang pointers doon na expose mo lang sila but don't force them. Right?
Yeah,
so,
don't force them but expose
leave them kung anong gusto nilang gawin. Eventually, kung ma-realize nila they want to do entrepreneurship at the end of it, then let them do it, right? But for now, just expose them and sana ma-realize nila. Let me go back again. So, yun yung first mo, di ba? Nung third year college.
Yung first venture. Right? So, it's parang post-production video editing. Yeah. That I was
after
running when I was in college.
So,
after nun, I started, kasi pumasok ako to computer science really para mag-develop ng games, yun yung hilig ko, di ba? So parang yung thesis ko was parang on the side, even though yung thesis was not really related sa game development, parang I was developing a game engine on the side. Like babasa ako ng mga how to develop games for dummies na libro. Tapos gumagawa ako ng game engine to explore that. Hindi katulad ngayon medyo madali na dati parang diba, hindi pa ganun kabilis ang internet, wala pang ready-made tools to make it parang, di ba, ngayon gagawa kang Flappy Bird, ang bilis na lang, di ba, parang pwede kang mag-copy-paste na lang ng code at may AI pa patutulong sa'yo para gumawa na. So nung time na yon, I wanted to get into game development. Unfortunately, walang game development company in the Philippines. So parang I decided na mag-start ako ng ako na lang siguro, mag-start na lang ako ng sarili kong game development company. And parang it was credited as parang the first game development company in the Philippines talaga. No?
Wow!
2001 when we did that. Yung plano was to make a game in 1 year. So parang kinuha ko lahat ng mga siguro kinita ko dun sa kinita ko dun sa first business ko. Tapos may credit line na ako, may napag-utaga na ako. Parang to match that money na I'm gonna be putting into this game development, this second business na gagawin ko, which is yung passion ko talaga, which is making games. So yung 1 year na dapat nag-develop dahil puro newbies kami. Puro na gumagawa doon. Naging 2 years. Ganun. Kasi parang, hindi pala ganun kadali. Parang ang daming bugs, ang daming mga kailangan i-solve, ang daming mga... Parang medyo malaki siya. Dahil, parang yung ignorance lang talaga na kaya ko to, yung pala, hindi pala kaya. Parang ignorance lang. Parang it took us mga 2 years and parang twice the cost to actually release yung first game namin. Which was 2003 when we released yung pinakaunang game namin. Medyo okay siya kasi hindi ko pala pwede i-type dito na podcast to. Pero the name of the game is yung Anito. So you can Google it, di ba? So nirelease siya. Talaga? 2003. So being the first game, ang swerte kami is medyo na-feature siya sa media. So, malaki yung awareness about, ito yung first game na ginagawa sa Pilipinas. Kasi at that time, di ba, puro mga galing US, puro mga galing Japan yung mga games natin. So, yun. It took us a while to release it. Medyo, medyo may rin siya, parang na-nominate din siya for a couple of international awards. So, parang nanalo din siya ng award sa Independent Games Festival, yung parang Cannes Film Festival ng gaming. For yung audio scoring namin, it's a minor award, diba, sa sounds, pero at least parang it got recognized sa international stage. Unfortunately, hindi ibig sabihin nanalo na award means na commercially successful yung game. Learn that the hard way. Kasi noong time na yun, di ba ngayon, pag mag-release ka ng game, it's nasa App Store, nasa Steam, di ba, parang ida-download mo na lang. Dati, pag gagawa ng game, it means na magpapamanufacture ka ng CD-ROMs, ilalagay mo sa tindahan, 'di ba? So may logistics chain pa talaga na ide-deliver mo yung mga yung mga boxes sa sa mga tindahan. Magtatawag-tawag kami ng mga tindahan o sino ba gusto nito, magbenta ng game natin. So naghanap kami ng distributor, tapos naghanap kami ng distributor sa iba-ibang territories, like surprisingly, one of the territories na mas malakas yung benta namin, like sa Russian territory ng time na yun, yung Russian version ng game. So yun, box copies. Ang nangyari was parang at the start, parang ang plano was yung first game na ide-develop namin was gonna, di ba, parang in an ideal world, kikita siyang enough pera, tapos makakagawa kami ng game number 2, game number 3, game number 4. Unfortunately, nung panahon na yon, pag binibenta mo yung game mo ng 1,000 pesos, sure ka, ibebenta sa ilalim ng tulayan or sa Green Hills ng 150 pesos, di ba? Yung mga pirated copies.
Yeah.
So medyo, for every one game na mabenta namin, siguro, ewan ko, estimate mga 5 pirated copies yung nabenta. So, yun yung problema na hindi ka gumawa ng totoong business plan mo, hindi mo alam yung volume na baka masaturate yung market. So nung start, akala namin, kumikita naman for the first few months, pero hindi namin alam, di ba, yung parang game, ang benta niya sa start, magpipeak yan. Parang music, di ba, magpipeak, tapos eventually, pabagsak na siya, long tail na siya. Pag nag-long tail na, wala na tayong perang pumapasok, parang wala na tayong pondo panggawa ng game number 2. So, yun yung I guess first learning namin na hindi namin talaga napag-aralan yung market in terms of 'di ba, parang marunong lang kami gumawa ng game pero hindi namin alam, or hindi nga kami marunong natutunan lang namin pero hindi namin inaral talaga the business side of things, paano ba kami kikita for future games. So
you identify yung threat category na pwedeng palang yung piracy noong time na yun,
Yeah. So even though parang syempre ginawan pa namin siya ng locking, 'di ba? Para ewan ko kung naabutan niyo dati, papasok mo yung code para ma-unlock yung game. Pero eventually maka-crack din ng pirates yung code na yun So ma-unlock siya, 'di ba? Tapos marami pang tumatawag sa office namin na, hindi namin malaro yung game mo. Parang, saan mo binili yan, di ba? Pirated copy pala yung binili nila, kaya hindi nila malaro kasi nakalock yung game. So, syempre, parang ganun kumbaga, yung yung ignorant yung mga tao na hindi nila alam na pirated yung copy na
meron sila. Got it.
So, actually, after nun, parang nawalan kami ng funds really to develop additional games. So doon namin natutunan, we had to yun yung first experience ko with downsizing, 'di ba? Parang kailangan namin mag-let go ng mga tao kasi wala na kami pansahod if we retain them. At the same time, parang we had to kumbaga, 'di ba, pivot, 'di ba, na kailangan ibahin natin business model natin. Hindi pwedeng gumawa tayo ng original game kasi wala na tayong funds doon kasi eventually, parang kailangan marami kang sunog tapos question mark sa dulo kung kikita ka ba or hindi. Fortunately, in time, yung natutunan na skills ng mga team are also applicable to mga other sort of projects. So, naging outsourcing kami for game development for a lot of different companies kasi may portfolio na kami. Ito yung game na nagawa namin. Gusto yung pagawa yung game nyo sa amin, kami magde-develop ng game nyo para sa inyo. So, syempre maraming stages yun. Oversimplification siya kasi dumaan din kami sa stage na gumagawa kami ng parang serious games. Pag sinabing serious games, yung gagamitin mo yung game technology para sa ibang industry, like gagamitin mo siya for architecture para instead of bumabaril ka ng baril mo, parang umiikot ka sa loob ng bahay para ma-explore yung bahay using real time, di ba? Yung parang ngayon VR.
Yung corporate siya.
Tapos ginagamit namin for product design. So may mga clients din kami like Procter & Gamble na gusto nila ma-visualize yung game technology. So may mga pinagdaanan kaming ganun stages. And eventually, we established ourselves as a casual game developer na based sa Pilipinas. So, tapos nagpasok din kami. Noong 2008, pinasok din namin yung mobile games. So, bago pa lang yung mobile games noong 2008. So, panahon ng Nokia Series 40s, Series 60s yan. Di ba? Yung mga keypads na maliliit. So pinasok din namin yon. And eventually, parang nung na-establish namin yung sarili namin as a game developer, parang yun na yung pupunta ako ng kunyari game shows, tapos parang kailangan namin magpa-develop ng game. Meron game developer sa Pilipinas, ito yung specialty nila. So nakakuha kami ng mga kilalang clients like mga Disney o mga Activision. Ewan ko, kilala niyo yung mga yung mga Electronic Arts, mga Big Fish games. Yun yung tapos nakakuha din kami ng mga properties.
May mga games ko na Activision so maganda.
Yeah. Tapos, di ba, parang meron din properties like mga Spider-Man, Despicable Me, yung ginawa namin siya ng game. So, over the course of 14 years, I was running the game development company.
14 years. Okay.
Yeah, 14 years from 2001 until 2014. Siguro mga 70 games total yung na-release namin for different companies around the world. So, yun yung yun yung story doon. And actually, yung game company na yun, that's parang what inspired me to get into education. Kasi, parang nagko-connect naman yun. Kasi, parang, eventually, I conclude ko lang din yung story about yung game development studio. Eventually, nung 2014, I was taking up yung masters ko. Parang kumuha ko ng masters in Entrep. Tapos, medyo naaaral-aral ko na yung niche in game development. Kasi maraming sub-branches yan, di ba? Parang may mga may mga independent games, may mga casual games. So, in general, kung nasan kami, di ba? May AAA games din, may downloadable. Maraming klaseng siya. Parang na-identify ko na yung particular branch or parang hindi na siya, it's not gonna do well in the future. Medyo downtrend na siya. Kasi nung time na yon, parang yung casual games nagto-turn into independent games na meaning yung mga companies gumagawa na sila para sa sarili nila as opposed to like yung mga Activision, gumagawa sila ng casual games kasi na-democratize na yung distribution model from konting channels na kailangan publisher ka, may pondo ka into, pwede na ako mag-self-publish, i-release ko lang sa App Store or online or sa Steam yung game ko. Parang pwede na ako mag-game developer. So, I think nung time na yon, that's when parang swinerte lang din, parang may isang company akong kakilala that is looking to expand also yung nila, yung development team nila kasi medyo interesting din yung story ng company na yon na nag-try sila since hindi sila makakuha ng mga contracts, sila na lang gumagawa para sa sarili nila. So they made game number 1, palpak, game number 2, palpak, game number 3, palpak. Nung game number 4, nag-jackpot sila. Pag nag-jackpot ka sa game development, parang bawi na yung lahat ng nalugi mo. Times 10 pa, di ba? Yung kikitain mo, di ba? Kita kang millions of dollars dahil nag-jackpot ka sa isang game. And they were looking to expand kasi they had this pondo and they wanted to expand game development. So, eventually, yung game studio ko, it was acquired by another studio that was looking to expand their game development base that was 2014. So sinerte na nung time na parang medyo mahirap din yung game development, up and down yun, alam mo naman yun, parang year after year ang daming iba-ibang trends, di ba? Parang, Facebook games, kita to. Tapos, nawala na yung Facebook games. Di na pala, di na pala okay yun. Ganun. So nung time na yun, parang there was a company looking to expand. Sabi ko, you're looking to buy. I'm looking to, parang may company ako. I think it would be a good fit para sa inyo kasi ito yung type of games na ginagawa niya. So yung type of games nila, yung isang jackpot game nila is ang tawag ng Juice Cubes. Sumikat yun ng 2013, mga ganon. So, yeah. So, parang yung mga match 3 type ng games, di ba? Parang similar siya sa Candy Crush or ganon. Siya, yun din yung games na ginagawa namin as a studio. So, yun yung games nga, ang tawag sa kanya is yung market niya is really for yung older female market, yung mga mommies, nag-aantay sa anak nila na nagsa-soccer, di ba? Parang naglalaro sila ng games on the side, ganun, nagka-Candy Crush sila, ganun, on the side. Yun yung games na ginagawa. So eventually, I exited the company.
Wow, galing.
And started hindi naman started. I already started a school before I exited that company. Pero I was able to focus more on the school then after nun.
Pero yun talaga ba yung end goal mo sa company mo? Yung studio to be bought out or like, kasi di ba sabi mo 14 years yung company, right?
Yeah.
So,
I'm not sure if it was an end goal. Parang more of, mas na-realize ko lang na medyo kasi, alam mo yun, business pang bata tong game development, kailangan marami ka talagang energy para ang daming mga nangyayari sa game industry every year. Parang may bago na naman, 'di ba? So it's not something na parang gawin mo lang once even if you're successful already, 'di ba? Ang daming game company na even successful na sila. Eventually, if hindi sila maka-adapt, namamatay din yung company.
Yeah,
diba?
yeah.
So ngayon yung parang na-identify ko lang siguro towards later on na siguro if ma-exit ko tong studio na to, yun yung best magandang possible ending for the company. So naswerte naman I was able to
was a blessing that. Right na binili kayo. Galing. So, ano yung bumili sa inyo outside, hindi sa Philippines?
Yung actually yung owners niya are European, mga Danish, yung game developers. Tapos, pero their headquarters was in Bangkok, sa Thailand. So, yun yung So, I worked for the company for 2 years kasi kasama yun sa sa exit contract.
Sa exit plan.
Ito turnover ko. Pero eventually, after 2 years, parang wala na talaga akong ginagawa, di ba? Parang, ano bang ginagawa ko ngayon? Parang chine-check ko na lang kung gumagana yung bumbilya at may laman ba yung ref ng office, di ba? So, kasi yung project managers ko, lahat nagre-report directly to HQ na instead of locally. So that's when I moved on from that company. That was mga 10 years ago today when I sold that game development.
$1 million yan, sir. Hindi ko na nasasata. Hindi ko na tatanungin kung magkano.
Walang ganyan usapan.
$1 million yan, sir. Nako. Sige. Na-excite na. So after nun, sir, 2 years, then after nun, syempre, you got bored, wala ka nang ginagawa, right? So,
actually, even before that, 2008 nag-start ako ng school. Kasi
sinabi mo na, okay.
Medyo parang ang story kasi ng school is more of dahil nung nasa game development ako, parang every time na lang magkakaroon kami ng association meeting, yung mga topics pare-pareho, parang bakit gano'n, ang daming nag-a-apply pero parati silang bumabagsak sa exam kasi pag gumagraduate sila ng college sa Pilipinas, alam mo naman, very theoretical. Di ba? Parang gagraduate kang computer science pero hindi ka marunong mag-program, di ba? Kasi yung teacher mo, academic, hindi rin siya like professional programmer kasi the way na structure yung education system natin dito is really parang pagandahan ng papeles rather than di ba, basta as long as may doktor yung nagtuturo sa'yo even if they're not like experienced sa real world. Parang hindi siya so parang, well, I'm not talking about all schools, siyempre there are some good schools pero mataas din yung tuition sa mga schools na yun, di ba? And all the others parang hirap din pag graduate ka, parang ginagawang business din yung school na parang basta bigyan natin ng diploma yung yung graduate. So parang I was always complaining na parang every association na lang nagrereklamo tayo, bumabagsak parati sa exam yung mga aplikante natin. So that's when I decided na parang i-try ko i-solve, ako na lang gagawa ng school and tingnan natin if magawa akong different tong school na to na medyo very hands-on and industry-driven talaga yung tinuturo ng eskwelahan. So that's when we started CIIT, which at the first, since wala talaga akong alam sa education, we started it as a franchise of a Malaysian company. Malaysian school, yung Kuala Lumpur Metropolitan, and they had branches, Cosmo Point. We started that. We were using yung mga education materials nila. Kasi wala kaming alam sa education, parang learning there, Pero eventually kasi, we were their very first franchise. Wala talagang, hindi sila built to support schools in other countries.
Franchisee, yeah.
Oo, so
wala
parang,
pang system in place.
Oo, di ba? Dapat pag nagma-master franchise ka, dapat may operations manual ka, whatever. Tutulungan mo yung mga nag-franchisean mo, di ba? Training mo, ganon. Pero ang nangyari is parang feeling namin medyo nalugi kami, and at the same time, yung education materials namin, parang hindi maganda yung English kasi Malaysian English which is parang mas maganda yung Philippine English syempre kaysa ganun. And we decided na after a few years, parang tayo na lang gumawa ng education materials natin. We terminated the franchise and we started
buti naka-exit kayo usually, di ba pag franchise mayroon kang contract for a specific time period. So did you pay them back?
Parang I don't remember the details na pero parang medyo na rin kami na parang at that time yung owner of that company also sold their company to the government
gusto mo na lang umexit, no?
Umexit na rin siya, so tiniming na rin namin na umexit kami dun sa franchise. So we parang founded our own school dito sa tapos eventually parang ang daming no start dahil nga we wanted it to be industry driven. Puro diploma lang kami, puro 2-year courses na industry. Pero eventually we decided to turn it, if you wanted to, yung hanap talaga ng mga bata rito is hindi naman siya parang like Australia for example na okay na yung short courses. Dito talagang parents mo gusto college graduate yung mga anak nila, diba? So nag-offer din kami ng mga bachelor's degree programs sa school namin. Yeah. So it started 2008, so that makes it mga 16 years. Magsi-16 years kami this year. Itong eskwelahan na to. It's been doing well. We got it's not just me, pero kumuha talaga ako ng business partner to help start the school. So hindi lang ako mag-isa, parang isa sa mga friends ng dad ko, another family na kilala nila in business, parang kami yung nagsosyo to start the school. So we started with 2008, nung time na yon, mga 21 students ata yung pinakaunang batch namin. So this year mga na kami 2,000 plus students na yung eskwelahan. So it was a good growth in the past. We're one of the fastest growing schools sa dito. Tapos since pandemic medyo malaki yung size nung tinake in namin na estudyante kasi hindi naman kailangan ng classrooms, diba? So kuha lang kami ng students. So nung pinabalik na ng CHED lahat ng estudyante sa eskwela, hindi na tayo kasya. So we're building another facility to accommodate yung mga extra students namin. To accommodate the population ng school namin. Yeah. Yeah.
So Sir Neil, so with the second venture, kasi yung una is game company, right? And then now this is a school one.
Yeah, so actually third na to school kasi
third
first na yung post-production, di ba?
Yeah. So dito sa school, did you guys, since ang topic natin is business plan or feasibility studies, dito sa school business mo, did you guys started to create a plan before you execute it this time, or how did you guys able to start it? Because I know you have a franchise, so I think usually yung franchisor, they provide at least a guide when you're starting a school, right? Yeah.
Mas siguro nung time na yun medyo mas basic yung business plan namin, mas more like financial projections, ano ba yung break-even cost natin, ano ba yung plano namin. Pero like siguro ang daming flaws din kasi if you want to make up proper plan talaga, you need to be in the industry. Ang issue sa amin nun is, alam mo yun, ignorance is bliss na naman. Parang kaya natin to, miskin wala tayong background in education. Para we learn as we go, di ba? So ang dami naming mga natututunan na lang as we started the business. Pero there were also decisions that driven by market na. Kasi, di ba, when I was doing yung game development, hindi ko talaga inaral yung market na, uy, mas malaki pala yung problema pala tong piracy na to, na ito pala yung volume lang na nabebenta sa Pilipinas. So, in this case, medyo mas inaral na namin yung market talaga na saan tayo magtatayo? Dito tayo sa Quezon City kasi nandito yung majority ng population and wala tayong masyadong kalaban. Mas maganda yung location natin dito. As opposed na like sa Manila or na saturated na, or sa south naman na parang mas dense kasi yung population in the north. So there were decisions na driven by by parang experience na kailangan natin aralin. I wouldn't say it was still like a proper business plan. Stinart ko talaga gawin yung proper business plan. Actually, yung business partner ko yung nag-start gumawa sa kanya nung pumasok na kami sa masters. Na masters, that was maybe 2012, 2013 na parang ginawa na namin ng proper market study, market analysis, internal analysis, messaging, ganun, mga SWOT matrix. Doon na namin inayos talaga. Pero ang hirap kasi gumawa ng business plan if you're really just starting out Parang at the start, parang concept paper lang talaga yung meron kami at market validation at financial projections, yun lang yung magagawa mo
Follow-up question. So, if for more than a decade of your experience, like putting up business, what would you be recommending, especially for people that listening this podcast? If you can go back in time, like 15 years back, what would you say about, because our topic is business plan, what would you recommend? Is it worth it to look up to do the plan? Because as Erwin says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And what would be your suggestion or recommendation, especially sa mga nag-uumpisa?
When I did, kasi yung sa EduCity, ba, when I did the plan for this, I guess it was, I wouldn't say na yung business plan na
hindi natin kailangan yung 150 pages
na parang may SWOT matrix whatever ka pa when you do it. Pero there are still certain aspects of a business plan that you need to make. So ngayon nga yung business plan ko, it's really more a deck talaga na something na pwede mo ipakita, something na i-validate mo, something na papakita mo rin sa people who might want to invest in the business, diba? So there are really certain aspects na you need to do. Number one, ano ba yung USP mo, di ba? Parang what would be, di ba? Ano ba yung, what would set you apart from the competition pag ginagawa mo yun, di ba? Tapos, number two, you need to do your market study. Number three, you need to make your financial projections. Ano ba yung break-even point mo? When would you say no or whatever, di ba? Parang, number three, ano ba yung legal, number 4 na pala, di ba? Yung legal framework, ganito, parang ano ba yung runway mo, etc. Tapos gagawin mo yung financial projections mo. So you all need to do your homework really at the start. Pero it's not, I would say, kasi pag sinabi yung business plan, pagawa ko to sa taong gumagawa ng business plan, tapos it will end up puro,
dapat yung mismo
na nandun, di ba?
I mean, what I'm saying is like, it doesn't have to be like a thesis paper. But what I'm saying is like at least you have like what I call this, a blueprint of what you want to do, how you enter, what is your process, what is your market, what is your capital, what's your exit, what is your goal. Because the thing sometimes is merong gusto na mag-umpisa, basta umpisa lang na umpisa, hindi sila.
I would say na ngayon ang more applicable, instead of like really paper, it would be like 15 slides of what your business is about. I think that starts as really
deck style.
Deck style talaga. Kasi it's not just for investors pero it's for yourself then to validate. Tapos, di ba? Bakit mo masasabi tong data na to in this slide is true? That's when you show the Excel sheets na, ito yung computation ko, bakit ito yung break-even point ko, di ba?
Medyo kung sa mga nag-uumpisa pa lang, if you don't know the idea, enroll kayo sa CITT.
We have a technopreneurship course there.
Quick entrepreneurs, like mga 6-month certificate. Because that's important, I think, lalo na sa mga noble information na they have zero knowledge, na kailangan yung basic tools na, at least alam mo yung gagawin mo, how to set up an organization, how to use the bank, how to how to file taxes, you know, what is
before
sales.
all that nga, yung mga tipong how do you make a partnership agreement, di ba?
Yeah, yung mga ganyan, yung mga
co-founders
basic
agreement, yung mga ganun. Kasi yun yung mga parang hindi talaga, even if you enter a business school locally, hindi tinuturo yung mga yan. Yung mga yan dito, di ba? Pero sometimes, di ba, parang nasa top 3 reasons yan bakit nag-fail ang business, hindi nagkakasundo yung mga partners. So,
kasi
they don't know what co-founders agreement, di ba? So, yung isa biglang umalis na lang kasi parang, ayoko na, parang gano'n.
Diba? Ay, hindi naman nila hindi nila kasalanan kasi they're not knowledgeable about it or wala silang common knowledge, walang common expectation. Kaya kung kayo papasok ng business, enroll kayo sa CITT, yung may mga certificate program lang na, kasi I think, ako wala akong nagturo sa akin eh. Kumbaga, ako lang fortunately, I'm an accounting student. So, dinaanan ko yung mga yon. But it's still different when it's actual, you know. So, minsan mas gusto ko nga yung actual.
And that brings up a point, di ba? Kasi if you're an entrepreneur, at the start, you really expect na ikaw gagawa ng lahat ng bagay. So, like ako, since computer science doesn't have an accounting subject, yun actually ang pinaka-first na course na tinake ko eh. I took up accounting for non-accountants. So, sabi ko, kailangan matutunan ko to, di ba? Parang yun yung isa sa mga, inaral ko na parang kailangan always learning ka eh. Always,
yes.
Always taking up things.
I highly recommend yan. Basic Accounting 101 sa lahat ng business, I think. To the bare minimum. Dapat naintindihan nila yon.
Yeah, marunong ka bumasa ng FS at lahat, di ba? Or gumawa ng FS. Tapos, ano ba, di ba? Like, when I was started itong last business ko, yung EduSuite nga, parang nung time na yon, board level na ako, di ba? So, sanay ako sa ito yung budget na i-allocate natin for digital ads or ito yung di ba? Parang ibibigay na lang sa'yo tapos start na naman ako as an entrepreneur. Parang ikaw na naman taga-bili ng kape sa office or ikaw na naman gagawa ng website kasi parang gagastusin ko ba to para mag-hire ng agency na gumawa ng website or ikaw na lang gagawa sarili mo. Pero meron na namang Wix ngayon at Square at kung pwede mong gamitin, di ba? To do it yourself.
Naiwasan din yung unnecessary mistakes kasi yung marami kasi ako nakikita lalo na sa social media, no, maraming nagsasabi na, you know, it's okay to fail 10, 20, 30 times. No, I think that is so excessive. Lalo na kung, you know, you have a limited capital, di ba? Basta try lang ng try. I mean, there's better way to do it.
If you try, maubusan ka ng pera. Buti sana kung unlimited, di ba?
Di ba? Kung si Uncle Sam or yung bangko, papautangin ka ng unlimited. But there's a better way to tackle yung lalo na pagka-crucial yung business startup, di ba? Ang mahalaga doon, how can you save your capital as soon as possible? Especially kasi sa business, hindi rin naman masasabing na agad, yung 100% successful. Diba? Minsan, kailangan mo isipin din paano hindi nag-success, exit strategy mo, di ba? Para hindi maubos, di ba?
So, totoo. Like, paano kung pumalpak? Ako, I realized that even though, I'm starting my 4th business, definitely, it's a lot more pinag-isipan. It's a lot more, parang experience ko, really na-apply ko na. So, marami na akong ginawang tama. Pero it still doesn't guarantee na, kasi entrepreneurship and lalo na pag startup tech company, talaga maraming uncertainty talaga Well, yung franchisee might be easier kasi someone else's experience, kakayahin mo yung business model.
Yeah, viable.
Pag bagong startup, medyo mas challenging kasi mag-identify ka na naman ng bagong opportunity. Parang itatry mo ibenta tong na to, yung idea na to sa mga potential customers mo, di ba? So, yun yung yun yung challenge, It's never guarantee. May mga times pa rin like this past year, lalo na like medyo growing stage yung startup ko, yung EduSuite ngayon. So may mga times talaga this past year na hirap pa rin ako makatulog kasi ang dami kong iniisip before matulog. So ganun talaga.
Kaya yung games ng escape niya
Ngayon, hindi na masyado.
You still play games?
Less and less now.
Hindi na masyado.
Pati sa phone ko, tinanggal ko na rin kasi nakakaubos ng oras. So, yes na lang ata natira sa telepono ko ngayon.
Ayos.
Do you have another question, Erin? So currently, you're managing the CIIT.
I'm not as operationally involved in CIIT ngayon. So sa board level ako involved.
Okay.
I'm more full-time dito sa EduSuite, so I'm running it as the president ngayon. Kumbaga, like sa partners, no, kaming mga partners, they know me, like sa board namin sa CIIT, like I'm the vision guy. Pero hindi ako yung like operational guy na, di ba, parang titingin ng bawat detail. So I have a business partner na mas magaling sa mga ganon.
Yeah.
Parang iniisa-isa. Tapos yung wife ko naman, she runs kumbaga the HR side. Siya naman yung magaling with people kasi that's one of the most important things with businesses, di ba? Yung handling people. Yun yung you live and die with the people on your team, di ba? No matter how good your vision is, kung
keep your people,
execute, diba? Wala yun. So ngayon, parang like sa EduSuite, just to tell you a little bit of background how it started. We started it 2017. Ito, yung story naman ito is I was president of school for like 6 years, I think. I was the president. Tapos, during that time, isa sa mga issues ko is naghanap ako ng software to run the school, which is, di ba, yung pang-enrollment niya, pang-statement of account niya, pang login na student para makita yung grade, yung mga pinang-grade ng teacher, or di ba, para sa registrar yung mga dokumento. So, ang nakikita ko, either mga foreign software na, number one, mahal. Number two, hindi na like fully applicable sa Philippine setting. Kasi iba yung sa atin, di ba? Yung sa CHED natin, may mga flowchart pa. At may mga weird dito, yung mga transmutation tables na magagandahin yung grade mo, even if, di ba? Parang, yung 20% biglang nagiging 70 sa report card kasi pinaganda ng transmutation table. So, naghahanap ako ng software, tapos there were other local startups na rin. So eventually, nag-evaluate kami ng like mga umabot ata ng 10, nag-try pa kami ng ilan, mga startups, foreign software, local software. Parang wala talagang fit. And ako, galing ako sa tech industry. Sabi ko, ako na lang siguro mag-solve nitong problema na to. Medyo yung school din, being operational there, medyo mabagal ang takbo ng school for my taste na ako galing ako sa tech, di ba? Mabilis yung araw-araw na nangyayari. Sa school, at tagal na decision making. Yan. Dito, sabi ko, try ko i-solve yung problem. And that's why I started EduSuite. Nag-prototype kami ng software kasi ang problema sa Pilipinas, noong time na yun, di ba, nagkaroon tayo ng transition to K-12. Tapos after nun, nagka-COVID. So, ang dami mong irregular students. Now ngayon, yung school, hindi niya malaman kung ano ba yung subjects na i-offer niya. Kasi may mga students ka na matagal nang ando na hindi ka graduate unless i-offer mo yung subjects niya. And meron naman mga, basta laking gulo na parang if marami kang irregular students sa school mo, kailangan mo ayusin yung schedule ng mga yun, kailangan ma-offer mo yung right subject. So, nag-prototype kami ng software to help solve that problem na at the same time, siya na rin yung mag-enroll ng students, mag-enlist, ganun. So, parang software suite na we ran it in our school, prototype yung school namin, tapos eventually, nung medyo okay na yung pagtakbo niya, yung software niya, parang nag-file kami ng grant, parang pinakita namin sa Department of Science and Technology, DOST. We have this school that's parang medyo transformational, parang it will change the way schools operate. And then parang we got an award na binigyan kami ng pera. Okay, maganda yung prototype nyo. Let's turn that into something, commercial product na pwede mo ibenta sa mga ibang eskwelahan. So that's how yung EduSuite started, na parang we created software and now parang like probably we're in around mga 40 schools across the Philippines na
40 schools. Software, and these like high school, colleges, universities? Or mixed?
Halo-halo, yeah. So, parang Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao kami. From kinder all the way to postgraduate, meron mga gumagamit.
And is the software online-based, cloud-based, or?
Yeah, it's cloud-based. So, syempre lahat ng yung mga software na incumbent sa universities, ito yung mga on-premise na pag tinignan mo talagang, ginawa pa sa Fox Pro or sa Microsoft Word mo itong ginawa. Ito, yung interface na to, di ba? Syempre, hindi naman modern to mga to. Diba? So
yung
anong
language platform ang ginamit niya sa EduSuite?
Actually, when we started it, sabi ko, ang experience ko talaga is game development. So, naghanap ako ng partner that can help do enterprise software. So may nakita akong partner, yung CEO ng Orange and Bronze. Sabi ko, tulungan mo naman ako, let's create this company. To hindi pa ang company, let's create this prototype to help serve the school. So yung specialty ng company na yun is Java based pero yung mga clients niya marami siyang international pero locally may yung mga telcos, GlobeSmart, mga bangko, di ba, mga BPI, yun yung enterprise software talaga yung ginagawa ng company na yan. So sila yung nag-provide ng initial know-how, mga programmers, ganun, to start yung EduSuite naman.
So now you have your own programmers sa EduSuite? Like
yeah. Parang in-house na lahat ng development namin.
How many employees? Sorry, dami kong tanong, pinoprofile ko. How many employees does EduSuite has now?
Parang as of last payroll, mga 27 nakita ko dun eh.
And how many are programmers, sir?
More than half yung developers nun. So,
And do you guys accept projects outside the EduSuite project, or you are just focused on developing the EduSuite, or tumatanggap ba kayo ng ibang projects sa labas?
We're not an outsourcing firm. So, kami talaga ang mission vision namin is to help schools. Kasi syempre yung schools is a nation building thing, 'di ba? Like alam natin na like sobrang sama ng rating ng school ng education in the Philippines, and that's why I got into schools in the first place, 'di ba? Na parang I'm trying to help solve this national problem. Pero itong EduSuite, parang syempre if you have a school, you only affect students na dumadaan sa inyo. So like 2,000 at a time na students, 'di ba? Medyo limited yung scope mo. So itong EduSuite, this is a chance for me to do something bigger by helping other schools naman with their problems. Kasi like isa sa mga issue rin with other schools is, di ba, paano mo yung dean mag-iisip ng curriculum niya kung ang pinoproblema niya is yung schedule ng teachers, yung grading, yung puro admin work ang nag-occupy ng like 80%.
And you have to follow Philippine regulations, right?
Yung compliance.
Yung compliance. So ito, naripasado na to sa EduSuite.
Ang ginagawa niya is really parang kasi marami sa mga tasks ng mga things na yan can be taken over by automated processes. And sabihin nga natin, 'di ba, yung parang yung scheduling na bakit tao pa gumagawa nito, yung computer na pag-isipin natin kung ano ba yung best schedule ng eskwelahan, 'di ba, para ilang araw silang nag-shift around sa Excel na itong teacher na to available ng ganitong araw lang, so schedule natin. Parang kaya na gawin ng computer yan, and that's something we didn't find in other software, 'di ba? Parang dinigitize niya lang pero hindi niya in-automate yung schools. So
do you think Sir Neil, do you think yung EduSuite or EduSuite is applicable for online based or client based school program?
We have schools na parang either hybrid or meron silang mga open classes. So it's not parang about yung manner of delivering the lesson. It's really about helping schools automate yung operations nila. Kasi 'di ba, parang pwede kami gumawa ng sarili naming online school, 'di ba, yung tipong parang Udemy or Coursera, 'di ba? Pero that's not what we want. Kasi
so more on the helping the schools, existing schools across the nation.
Kasi doon pa rin dumadaan lahat ng estudyante natin, di ba? Sa mga eskwelahan. So we need to help them so that alam mo yun, kahit papaano we're contributing to helping improve education, kasi that's one of the biggest problems in the country.
Galing.
So, dami tanong. Kasi the reason why I'm asking is I want to get the bottom of what is, so that sa mga listeners din natin, no? Kasi mamaya we came across like maybe school administrator, or an owner who listened to this na may school sa Philippines, and that's why I keep asking what kind of product you are offering. But may follow-up question. Sorry, Erwin, ako rin nagtanong.
May friend kasi yan si Elmer na may-ari ng school.
Hi, friend.
Siyempre yung mga school owners, sometimes you also need to get them to think na kailangan SaaS model na tayo, hindi na pwede yung
So SaaS
isa sa mga good friend ko.
So a subscription type, right?
Subscription type. Kasi siyempre ang problema ng mga schools, nasa old way of thinking pa rin sila na gusto nila binibili yung software, or feeling nila hindi nila vina-value as much. Na alam mo yan, if you value software, it will really transform the way na inaano yung parang you do your operations eh. Kasi alam mo, isa pa rin sa malaking problema sa Pilipinas. Like, titingnan mo lang yung enrollment, di ba? Pag enrollment, parang haba pa rin ang pila, nandun ka buong araw, minsan multiple days pa. Yung mga schools na clients namin, kung enrollment, sarado yung eskwelahan, nagbabakasyon sila, nag-aano sila, nag-company outing sila. Kasi automated na lahat, di ba?
Online na.
Hindi pa rin paperless.
May sales manager ka na ba? Or sales area manager to...
Yeah, actually, meron naman. Pero ngayon lang talaga kami kumbaga dine-develop namin yung sales strategy namin. So, this is the year we also went into reseller program. So, di ba, parang kumukuha kami ng distributors kasi, di ba, kung kunyari, kailangan magbenta sa Bacolod region. Or,
we have people in our network. I think one of my friend is like a connection with one of the, they have different colleges. Private school. So I think, that's the reason I'm asking. I wanna, if you have a time, if you can forward to me like a product info. I can forward probably. If Dr. Sani is here, probably I could send it because I think he is connected with all Siena colleges in the Philippines. So may mga friends tayo sa network na nasa academe. Na, hindi naman kasi ako talagang member ng mga academe, pero may mga friends tayo na kilala na. Kasi this is a technology. I mean, we can help the Philippines transform education, how do we... And nakita ko yung diferensya. At tulad nga yung sinasabi niya, pag enrollment ng mga anak ko dito sa US, we don't go to school. We just do it online.
Walang bayad online. Sa Philippines, kailangan mo pa rin i-change yung mindset eh. Kasi even for my school, parang pupunta pa rin sila ng eskwelahan, may dalang cash, may dalang cheque. Dadali namin sa computer lab at ma'am, turuan ka na namin paano magbayad online para hindi ka na babalik dito ulit. So kasama yun kasi yung digital literacy din talaga ng tao. That's what we're helping solve. Yeah. So yeah.
Do you have another question?
Yeah, so basically yung EduSuite sa Philippines pa lang yung settings neto, right? But are you planning to expand eventually kasi yung
right now parang it's in our long-term plans pero wala pa siya sa horizon talaga. Even though yung URL namin edusuite.asia kasi
Asia.
Asia. Pero right now, parang we realize na we can still do a lot of change. So, tulungan muna natin yung mga local schools before we think of expanding regionally pag kailangan. So, yan, we're starting to ngayon pala talaga medyo sumisikat yung yung parang yung SaaS model really for schools kasi parang ngayon lang talaga nagkaroon ng magandang internet sa Pilipinas or acceptable enough internet since the pandemic, di ba? So, so dati talaga, hindi kami pwede dyan, internet-based, palpak internet dito, walang signal.
Hindi gagana, hindi gagana. Or install na lang yan, install nyo sa computer nyo or something. Walang internet.
So like, in the Philippines, parang we have a lot of siguro mga kilalang clients din, di ba? Parang nagulat kami. Akala namin mga small schools tulad ng CIIT kukuha, pero eventually like mga universities like Ateneo, sila rin yung kumuha ng software namin. Ganun. Kasi mas naintindihan nila na part ng demand yan.
Yeah. Galing. So basically from video editing, right? That's your first business. Galing. Yeah. And then you did the gaming, which na-acquire kayo ng company for $1 million.
Game development,
Mga siguro $10 million yun.
Hindi, mababa yun.
$20 million.
Hindi na natin sasabihin. So, hindi na natin sasabihin. Basta na alam namin, $1 million yun. So,
and then I think he founded a school which is the CIIT, and then now he's
buti na lang medyo maraming pera kailangan mo para mag-start ng eskwela.
And then ngayon may existing na yung school and at the same time he's doing the EduSuite, right? So I think ang question natin is
sorry, may follow-up lang ako. During those process ng journey mo, na-involve ka rin ba sa mga iba pang businesses o focus ka lang talaga doon sa 4 na business na meron ka?
Mostly dito. I mean, gets parang ang dami ng energy na gagastos dito. Parang there was one time I invested in another company nung pandemic company, pero as an investor naman, pero that didn't work out na eventually nagsara din yung company na yan. So that's one of my first trials in investing in other people na nag-start naman ang sarili nilang company. Pero yan, tingnan natin.
Galing.
I also help out sa companies ng parents ko, pero like right now I'm no longer involved since yung sister ko na talaga yung nag-take over.
I see. Okay.
Well, let's ask these like tough questions, even tough questions, but for the sake of our listeners and viewers, I guess, for the Global Entrepreneurs Network, my question is, from your past experience until up to now, for all your experience in entrepreneurship, what would be the most challenging item or part or a process that you've encountered since day one up to now? Ano yung pinakamahirap na encounter mo, and how did you deal with it? How you solved it? How you able to face it?
Mahirap sagutin yung pinakamahirap kasi lahat mahirap eh.
Siguro mga isa o dalawa.
Yung
but yung talagang
madaming mahirap actually. So actually mag-iiba yung yung company mo di ba, matures. Iba-iba yung may encounter yung problem, like, di ba? Sa start, ang pinakamahirap would be trying, lalo na if it's a new concept, trying to sell is mahirap, di ba? Parang trying to find market fit or market validation, yun yung naging pinakamahirap. Pag nalugi yung company, isa sa mga pinakamahirap na pwedeng gawin is downsizing, and di ba, parang you have to let people go kasi there's not enough cash, ganun, sabihin mo na walang pera. So that's really one of the parang hanggang ngayon memorable pa rin, di ba, na parang okay naman yung tao, pero since wala nang di ba, wala nang pondo, parang lumiliit yung business, we have had to let people go. So that's really one of the more challenging parts. So iba-iba, like ngayon, I guess yun yung I guess yun pa rin yung mga pinaka-memorable kasi it's not just the business itself, pero you're dealing with people's lives and people na nagtiwala sa inyo. Di ba? Tapos mati-disappoint mo sila na parang, uy, sorry, parang it's not working out, kailangan natin mag-pivot ng business, kailangan natin mag-streamline ng operations. Yun yung is challenging.
Hirap siguro nun, Sir Neil, no? Paano mo kaya yun, no? Paano mo...
Tapos dito pa sa Pilipinas, walang bankruptcy protection or anything. Magsasara ka na lang ng business. Ka pa. Hassle ka pa ng gobyerno, pahihirapan ka pa, di ba? So iba-iba talaga yung hirap. And like, siguro ako, na lang, through time, medyo parang everything, I just take it as perspective na lang, di ba? Parang iniisip ko na lang, mababaw yung problema mo, sa Ukraine nga may gera sa Gaza nga may gera, di ba? Mas malaki problema nila sa buhay, di ba? So anything experiencing now, di ba? Or kung may friend ka na parang recently nag-pass away or something, di ba? Parang iba, mas malalaki yung mga problema ng mga yan, di ba? So it's just just parang taking it with perspective na
perspective na lang.
Kailangan mo pa rin para makatulog ka pa rin sa gabi kasi otherwise medyo marami ka masyadong iisipin. So yun yung
Erwin, do you have another question?
So before I ask the last question, kasi usually we ask this, Sir Neil, right? Yung top 3 na may advice mo sa mga aspiring entrepreneurs, based din sa mga experience mo, ano yung ma-advise mo sa kanila, especially din sa mga magsisimula pa lang or currently na nasa business na medyo struggle sila or medyo or growing sila? Ano yung top 3 na
pwede ring top values or 3 top values that you practice, yung mga ganyan.
So, mga tips na lang, no?
So
siguro
kasi abot tayo ng 10 buwan siguro pagka
So siguro tips is, di ba, starting a business is parang probably one of the hardest things you'll ever do. So parang ako, ang number 1 ko talaga dito is may passion ka sa business na ginagawa mo. Kailangan hilig mo talaga yun kasi one of the things na nag-ensure na successful yung business is really yung perseverance, di ba? Parang no matter na parang ang dami ng problema, kailangan ko kailangan ipilit ko to, parang naniniwala pa rin ako dito. And in order to do that, kailangan, di ba, parang passionate ka rito. Kasi ang hirap naman na hindi mo na, parang nahihirapan ko na nga, tapos di mo pa hilig, di ba? Parang, ano na lang mangyayari, susuko ka lang, di ba? So, I guess, that's one of the things na really you need to be passionate. I sound like a millennial, so yung mga millennial, di ba? Parang kailangan may purpose ka dun sa business, naniniwala ka sa purpose ng business. So that's the first one. Siguro another top tip would be ako being someone from the tech industry, I didn't really give much importance to like yung management skills and parang people and managing people essentially. Pero at the end of the day, parang all businesses, it relies on people. It's about building an organization. Kasi if it's not people-driven, parang professional, parang doktor ka or it's ikaw mismo, di ba? Yung business mo is sarili mo. Pero if you're building an organization, eventually you'll have to rely on people being able to execute. So really important yung pag-recruit, pag-train, pag-communicate. That's one of the things na kumbaga mababa yung EQ ko kung sabihin, di ba? Parang wala akong masyadong people skills coming from the tech industry, and that's something that I needed to learn. Number 3 is yun na nga since ang daming kailangan matutunan sa business, you really need to be constantly learning. So
that's right. Parang, innovation, acquiring knowledge and strategies. Diba?
Like whether it's listening to podcast or di ba tama na yung anime.
Enroll to CIIT.
Taking courses, whether it's taking courses or learning something new every month. Ako, dati may goal parati ako na mabagal ako magbasa. That's one thing sa akin. Like slow reader ako. So, ang commitment ko at least isang non-fiction book every quarter na parang like management book or something para matutunan ko. Or, diba?
That's nice.
If you don't know something, you have to take a course. Yung admit na hindi mo alam yon, kailangan matutunan mo yon. So, being in business means always being hungry for learning.
Yeah,
that's good. It's a confirmation because from our past podcasts and sessions, like always lagi ko narinig yan, passion, human management, yan talaga, tsaka innovation. Top 3 yan na lagi nating narinig, no, partner? Erwin?
Yeah. Yung learning, So, amazing. Kasi nabanggit mo rin, Sir Neil, di ba? You took masters as well?
Yeah. I had to take a master's. Una napilitan ako kasi president ka ng school, kailangan may masters ka. Ano mabilis tapusin? Yung master's of entrep, 18 months lang. Ganun. Tapos, konti lang yung attendance na kailangan. Una napilitan ako. Pero syempre, I had to take one na very applicable sa what I'm doing now. So
I have a question. I think, Irene, I have another question. So looking back, looking back on your past, decades of experience, is there anything you would like done differently in developing or executing your business, or yung kung paano mo pinapatakbo yung negosyo mo, or nung pinatakbo mo yung negosyo mo before? Is there anything that you want to change?
Definitely, ang dami kong especially in my game development. Definitely, I did a lot of things wrong that I could have done better if I've had more experience. Ang dami. Like, yung sinabi ko nga, doing a market study, parang hindi ko nagawa ng tama, or managing and communicating to people, yung parang being able to empathize with people. So that's also one. Like, building your organization, parang I think I did it wrong. Parang I should have placed more importance in having the right people. Parang masyado akong cowboy na okay na yan. Parang I think kakayanin natin yan, even yung masyadong blind faith lang.
Wag basta-basta, no? Basta.
So parang syempre ngayon parang I'm learning, with experience lang talaga. So it's not na parang my intention or something. It's like really stuff you learn over the years. So ako nga, if I would have done differently, I wouldn't have started business as early. I would have probably worked more with an organization na mature and learn from other organizations rather than start a business. Pero ewan ko if
I'm glad you mentioned that, because especially nowadays with social media and influencers, they don't, I mean, some were gonna say like, hey, you don't need education, you don't need, may nag-trending diploma ba o diskarte. I was like, what? They don't know what they're saying, because minsan natatawa ka na lang kasi, di ba? I mean, you know, kaya natuwa ako nung sinabi mo na, sometimes it's good na to acquire knowledge first, and then have a parang on training to get all the knowledge that you need under your sleeves. Bago ka mag-execute ng sarili mong negosyo, di ba?
Parang actually, if you learn even like sa Silicon Valley or even in local businesses, like even in my own experience, starting my own game studio, nakikita mo na like people who have been my staff being exposed to siguro the entrepreneurial culture within the company. Eventually, a lot of them went on to build their own game studios or to build their own businesses also. Na formerly mga employees dun sa game business kasi kami nga yung first game development studio in the Philippines. So, yun, natuto sila sa amin, di ba? Even yung mga mali namin, and they also started their own businesses with that. So, that's a good thing. That's a positive influence dun sa industry also.
Yeah. Parang ano yun parang yung kay PayPal, right? Yung mas lahat ng pumasok yata sa kanya.
Yeah.
Remember? Di ba?
Yung mga pa yun di ba? Yung origins of, di ba? Silicon Valley, di ba? Yung before Intel, di ba? Parang mga tao na, nakalimutan yung name ng company na yun.
Yeah. Galing. Sige. Sir Neil, I know overtime na naman tayo. Napapasarap talaga.
I know.
As always, right? Pero I know, hopefully in the future, we can still invite you. Before we say goodbye, can you...
Ang hirap magpaalam no?
Oo, ang hirap. Saya magkwentuhan di ba? So,
maybe we can ask him for another session next time, if that's okay.
Sa ano?
Different topic.
I know, very busy talaga si Sir Neil. Hopefully, mapagbigyan tayo in the future. Sir Neil, before we go ahead and say goodbye, can you just tell our listeners where to connect with you,
find you, what's your business, contact number, Facebook or website?
So like the school is ciit.edu.ph. If you have people interested in the digital arts, diba? The geeks and the nerds and the artists, diba? Dun sila nagtitipo-tipo. Yan, parang we're one of the probably very prominent multimedia schools here. Tapos, well, for the school naman, there's EduSuite, as I mentioned a while ago. So, Google us lang, makikita niyo yung namin, yung website namin. And I guess if you have a lot of listeners that are looking to give back and help, parang one of the things that I'm setting up this year also is a foundation. So
nice.
To help, to help the underserved and the marginalized na magkaroon sila ng digital literacy. Kasi yun yung napapansin namin by the time they get to college, it's sometimes too late. So parang we're helping organizations around the country parang set up. So lang yan, pinaplano pa lang, on paper pa lang, pero if you guys want to find out more about that, wala pa kaming website.
What's the name of the nonprofit?
Create Foundation. So
and what's the mission?
To help yung digital literacy of the marginalized around the country. So
paano siya, Sir Nila? You sponsor a kid to parang ganun
ba? No, parang what we do is parang we help mga organizations like orphanages and mga yung mga ganong klase, and siguro yung mga underserved schools also, to build mga computer labs nila and art labs nila, so that yung kids are exposed at an early age
sa digital.
Kasi syempre if papasok ka sa school namin, di ba, kailangan at least either scholar ka or may pang tuition ka. So ito parang and not everyone will have that opportunity. So paano naman yung iba na walang opportunity? So
may mga schools na walang mga internet connection, wala ring computer. Naalala ko nung high school ako, 1:5. 5 estudyante, isang computer.
Buti nga yung mga nakikita naming partners talaga, stock room lang yung computer lab nila. Wala talagang computer. Buti na lang may mga Starlink na sa Pilipinas that can help even tatawid ka pa ng ilog para makapunta sa mga school na yan. So, yun yung if someone wants to get in touch with me to help out where they can habang sineset up pa lang yung organization. Yun yung yun yung isang pinagkakabisihan ko this year also.
That's good. Well, send the information to Erwin so that we could flag it in our website too, in our social media.
Pa lang siya, on the drawing board pa lang siya. So, ila-launch pa lang namin yung website towards siguro the 3rd quarter of this year.
Wow.
Mga namin yan.
Sige, para possible topic of the next
Yeah. When the topic is non-profit organization, we'll invite you again.
Oo, ang Sir Neil. Galing. Sir Neil, ayaw pa namin magpaalam pero we have to.
Yes,
I know it's late there as well. I know it's 11:30. Overtime na tayo talaga. Medyo late na rin sa end mo. We would just want to say thank you. Thank you for your time, for giving us your time, right? And sharing your stories with our listeners and with us. Hopefully in the future, we can still invite you. Thank you pala kay Ron. Si Ron kasi ang kasi ang first namin guest.
Talaga?
Siya yung guest namin and ni-refer ka talaga niya. Ano na?
Parati kabay ko si Ron. Mahilig kasi ako yan, addict yun sa bike eh. Tapos dati, naman siya, kalaro ko siya sa Magic, yung cards.
Oh, yeah. Nabagit niya, nagka-cards pala siya dati. Galing. So, thank you, Ron.
Yeah. And I want to say personally, thank you, Sir Neil.
Neil na lang, di ba, based na kayo sa Kansas, hindi na kayo nag-sister dapat siya.
Okay.
Yung pinatagal ko sa mga sa mga kumpanya ko, but sir kayo ng sir, hindi naman.
I want to be culturally relative. Kasi
dapat wala naman.
Dito talaga first name.
Sir Elton John, dapat first name.
Kahapon nga may kausap yung CEO nung franchise company. First name talaga kaptigan talaga.
Actually, I think that's one of the things na kailangan din natin ayusin even in business. Kasi medyo na-hurt yung communication if nagde-defer ka parati sa boss mo, di ba?
That's right.
Sir yung tawag mo sa kanya. Parang hindi mo ma-express kasi the boss is always right as opposed to open yung communication.
That's right.
That's one of the things din na tinuturo ko sa organization.
Change the culture. Yeah.
Parang we have to be more communicative. We have to, kung sa tingin mo tama, paglaban mo, di ba? Parang, not because sir is
I would like to say thank you personally for allowing us to have your 1.5 hour of your time, especially gabi na. And I had fun, ang sarap ng conversation is just smooth flowing. Too much of good information is in here. And I think, maraming matutunan yung mga listeners natin. And I personally, from Kansas, we thank you. And hopefully we can catch you again, to pick up your brain for all the things that you had experienced business. And I think yung mga bata na, lalo na you're in education, you're gonna be, I'm saying you're gonna be a key person or you have a key role to transform the Philippines in terms of education and technology, right? Well,
I'm doing my part. I'm helping where I can.
I think so. And I think we need more Neil in the Philippines. And
hopefully, yes.
And at the same time, inspired. I think after I leave this conversation in this podcast, I'm more inspired to do more because of your story.
Thank you, and thank you for having me as a guest.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah. And nice to meet you. And thank you for doing this also. Kasi syempre you're inspiring more kids to help the country also.
Yeah, and we want your story to be out there. I mean, that's the key. We read books, we read Bibles, and these stories inspire us. How much more a real person who undergone, such a wonderful experience. And our kids, my kids, I'm gonna let my kids to listen to this one.
Thank you. Sana makinig sila sa 1.5 hour podcast kasi
I know there's like
panahon ng mga 30-second TikToks
Ganun lang talaga 30 seconds. Okay. Sir Neil, thank you again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Erwin. Thank you, Elmer.
Hopefully, ma-meet kita in person this year. Uwi ako September.
Send a message pag nandito kayo. Pag mag-uwi ako dyan sa you said you were in Toronto ba? Or
nasa Toronto ako, si Elmer nasa California.
If you're, just let me know. Hit me up. Pag nandito ka sa SFO, I'll pick you up.
Okay. Sarap kumain dyan sa The game industry is, parati ako nag-attend
Silicon Valley is here.
Sa San Francisco, di ba? Doon yung GDC. I'm not sure if you're familiar sa mga
everything
events.
is here.
Favorite ko kumain kasi parang vegan ako So, yung pagkain sa San Francisco, marami sa Pilipinas, di ba?
Tayo.
Dito maraming gulay, which kinasan ka po.
Yeah, even my store, yung tinatayo ang franchise sa California, may vegan options.
Kailangan meron. So ngayon nagsa-start na sa Pilipinas, pero paunti-unti pa lang. Yeah.
Ayos.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Neil. Sorry, thank you, Neil.
Yeah.
Thank you, Neil. And I hope na, thank you din sa misis mo na pinahiram ka kahit late na. Kung nakikinig ka dito sa podcast, salamat po, misis.
Have a good night. Thank you so much.
Have a good night. Have a good night, everyone.
Alright, thanks everyone. Maraming salamat.
3, 2, 1. Stop recording.
Yeah.